Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
I'm...
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to a new series we have for you here at Neuroculture Channel. I am your host, Ryan of Neuroculture. This is Convention Chronicles. What does that mean exactly? I'll tell you. Every saga has a beginning. Every journey has a first step. Every single time that you've been to a convention, you probably thought to yourself, hey, is this heaven? And then the person standing next to you, their response is probably, no, it's Comic-Con. Well, we're going to talk about all the experiences that my co-host and I have had at conventions. Once again, my name is Ryan of Neuroculture, and our co-host, my good friend, someone I've known for years, and someone I am very excited to introduce you to, who may be watching or listening to this right now, Convention Chronicles. Please welcome Jeff to the set. Jeff, welcome in, my man. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm coming from you from the road today. I apologize to everybody, but I'm really excited about this, and I think me and Ryan are going to have some fun with this.
Absolutely, we are going to have fun with this. And if you have any favorite memories from conventions that you have attended over the years, any highlights for you, any questions for Jeff or myself, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Our producer is going to be keeping an eye on that as we go throughout the course of this program. And also, don't forget to like and share this with all of your friends, because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of Convention Chronicles. I guarantee it. Jeff, I'm going to turn things over to you because I want to give the person who's watching or listening an opportunity to get to know you a little better. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been attending Comic-Cons, and how did you and I first meet? What was our interaction first like?
All right. Well, to start, I remember starting out, and I started collecting comics when I was in middle school, and I was growing up in the suburbs of Chicago. And I always thought to myself, man, it would really be cool to check out the Comic-Con in Chicago. And I think it was Wizard World at the time. And I think it was still very small, but I would see the advertisements in the comics, and I always wanted to go, but I didn't have anybody to go with me. I was in middle school, and my dad would work outside of the house quite a bit as an insurance man. So, I just collected comics, and that was about it. But I always had an inclination, seeing it on TV with the Big Bang Theory and how much those guys enjoyed it. And luckily, I have a younger brother who really got into pop culture with me. So, we've had some journeys together, me and my younger brother John. But to start, I graduated from comics into sports in high school, and I was more or less a sports kid in my 20s and whatnot. And then in my 30s, I realized that the town I moved to in Pennsylvania called Harrisburg, it wasn't really like a booming culture place for people who are single and in their 30s and don't have children. So I know one day I was on Facebook and I saw a thumbnail pop up about meeting Alice Cooper at the Chiller Theater, and I thought, man, that would be really cool. I would love to meet Alice Cooper. Parsippany from Harrisburg is about a 2-hour and 40-minute drive. It was close to where my grandparents lived at the time in Wayne, New Jersey. So I was like, yeah, I want to check that out. And so I bought a Sunday ticket, and I drove all the way out there, and there was a couple of other guests to see. I remember meeting Karen Fukuhara, and I learned about Funko Pops and paint pens, and I created this kind of style of getting a character name, a quote, and a signature with different color paint pens and stuff according to like the Funko Pop, what the costume that it was wearing and stuff. So that's where I first came up with that. And but it was funny because when I got to the convention, I was looking all over for Alice Cooper. And if anybody's ever been to Chiller Theater, it's pretty spread out. And so you have to go to these different ballrooms and different rooms to get to the different guests. And it's really spread out along the lobby and everything. I couldn't find him. And finally, I finally found somebody who knew to tell me, oh, Alice Cooper flies home Saturday night so he can play golf on Sundays. And I was like, oh. So I drove all the way out to Parsippany, and I missed him. But it kind of stuck with me. I like the interactions with all the celebrity guests, and I like the autographs, and I like collecting stuff because my grandfather taught me years before how to collect, different items and keep them in good condition. And he was a collector, and he taught me about collecting cards and comics and all sorts of stuff. So that's where I kind of get the whole, itch to collect more and more. So that was kind of my first experience was Chiller Theater. And since then, I go to, I don't know, about 20 or so conventions a year. And I try to do different pieces like cast pieces and posters and masks and die cast cars and comic books and stuff like that. My comic book collection that I have had since middle school, I remember getting it appraised one time at about $5,500. And now that I've been going to Comic-Cons, it's probably worth about $75,000 just because I've learned how to get comics graded and signed and remarked and all this other stuff. And it's really been an adventure. It's been a lot of fun, and I've been able to meet my younger brother always says Jeff makes friends everywhere he goes, and that's how that brings me to meeting Ryan. I saw that there was going to be a Smallville reunion with some of the celebrities, and at a show called North Shore Con in Hunt Valley, Maryland, and it's about a little more than an hour away from Harrisburg. So I drove down, and first I met a new friend named Bill, who had set pieces from the actual show that he wanted to get signed, and then we sat in on Ryan's panel. And that's how we met. Ryan was running a panel talking about his experiences and how much Smallville meant to him. And we sat in and we started chatting afterwards. And ever since then, we've been really good friends. So I think I think the community is what really brings me back every time. It's just every time I have a new friend or I go to see friends, and it's just a really awesome community to be a part of. So that's what really draws me to the convention scene. So yeah. So Ryan, tell us about your first experience and what you remember from meeting me.
Yeah. So first of all, the name of the show that Jeff is mentioning here is Shore Leave, not North Shore Convention. Just to be that correctness, dude. It is Shore Leave. It's in Hunt Valley, Maryland. It's in July every summer. It's a great show. It's a small show. Great people out there. Make sure you check out shore-leave.com for more information on that. But with that being said, yeah, Jeff and I, we met at Shore Leave, and I do remember, dude, I was excited. I mean, a Smallville reunion in my backyard. For me, it was like a 15-minute drive. For you, it was like an hour and change or whatever it was. Yeah. So, hey, I got you beat on that one. But it's not about it's not about the distance, man. It's not about the distance. So for me, just real quick here, when I met Jeff, I saw him wheeling around this cart with like basket. It was like one or two baskets. I can't remember what it was. But it was a cart that was just full of stuff that he was getting for other people to get signed. And I'm thinking, boy, this guy is really devoted, isn't he? Yeah, he's dedicated. Nerd alert. And he's got a lot of stuff in there. And I'm thinking, okay, clearly you got way more coin than the average human being earns in a year. Because for someone to bring this type of swagger to a convention and get all that signed, or he's bringing certain items in those containers to get signed, that's a lot. That's a lot to carry. And I also thought to myself, this guy is smart, because when you're having a cart wheeling around, it's a lot easier to use one of those wheelies or carts or even wagons for that matter than it is to carry it yourself in a backpack, maybe shopping bags, maybe reusable shopping bags. By the way, hashtag feel free to save the planet by going green. But not to get on a Captain Planet here, but yeah, and when Jeff and I spoke and we started learning about each other, what our fandoms were, what we liked, what we enjoyed most about the fandoms, I thought, okay, this guy's good. I like him. I'm starting to dig it. And when he told me that he was a bit of a Smallville fan, I'm like, well, you know, anyone who's a Smallville fan can become my new best friend in about 5.2 seconds. So, because when you share those commonalities, it just makes it that more meaningful when you have interactions with people at conventions. So if you ever meet somebody who shares some of the same passions for certain fandoms that you do, and you just have a good vibe going with them, stay in touch. That's one of my tips I would toss out to you. If you're watching or listening to this, stay in touch with those people, because nothing makes a person happier than knowing that they are not alone in sharing a passion for something that they enjoy. You know, that's the whole thing. And Jeff, you brought it up a moment ago. When it comes to community, it's huge. It's valuable. It's important. Anyone who finds that, stick with it. Seriously. So that was my interaction with Jeff. It was cool, calm, and collected. No, it was very passionate because we're nerds. We're geeks. We know what we're talking about. And then we became friends after that. We exchanged contact information. We stayed in touch. And, you know, here we are now. Some years later. We're just rocking it, shocking it, brother. So with that being said, you mentioned Alice Cooper wasn't there on that Sunday when you were at the event. So I guess for him, the Chiller Theater on a Sunday, you know, for him, Comic-Con, quote unquote, Comic-Con's out forever, because he didn't bother to see you.
No, he bailed, and it took a couple of years for me to finally meet him, and I met him at Greater Philadelphia in Oaks, and that was a really cool experience because I didn't have anything for him, and I really wanted to get something signed. I found a local record store selling a first pressing of $1 Billion Babies, and I brought it with me, and for $100, he would sign, inscribe, and sketch, and I still have that autograph. He sketched it. He put multiple inscriptions on it. He signed it. He'd use a black paint pen, and it looks awesome when you frame it. So yeah, it was worth the wait. And so Ryan, you brought up the cart, the famous cart. So you are not the only Ryan to comment about my cart. So I don't know if you know who this is, but Ryan Spence, he is the son of James Spence, who also is the founder of James Spence Authentication, or JSA.
Oh, JSA, yeah.
JSA.
I don't know all about those boys. They have a booth
So,
at every convention.
That's right. And Ryan became a good friend of mine. He taught me to just be patient and get autographs when I can get them at sit down autograph signings, and not try to chase them down on the streets or let street graphers take stuff that I've been working on and have them add autographs to. We had a really good conversation about that, and I'm really glad he taught me that. But speaking of the cart, he calls that my consignment cart. So here's the deal. No, I do not have money growing in the back of my house. I do not have a money tree. I just have learned a lot of different ways to budget and find ways to make Comic-Con pay for itself. So what I do is I go into autograph groups. There's about 50 of them on Facebook. And I say, hey, I'm going to this convention. Here's the guest list. If you want something signed, I'll get it signed for you. And I charge a little fee. People pay their shipping. They ship to me, and I pack it up and I ship back. I had experience working for FedEx office, so I'm very good at packing and shipping everything and anything and insuring it. And I know that side of the business as well. And what I do is I collect everybody's money and my own, and I go out and get everything signed exactly or as best as I can the way they ask me to. The one thing I do have to say to my is that I tell them, hey, as soon as I hand off your item to that signer, that's in their hands now. I can't guarantee they're going to write the exact quote you want. I can't guarantee that they're going to draw everything and do everything that you're asking. Prime example. I think I showed Ryan this one. I have a comic book. It's the first book I ever did with CGC witnessing signatures. And I was in Baltimore Comic Con, and Frank Miller was so excited to sign the stuff I had for him because first I had him sign a Spartan helmet, and he was going crazy over that. And then he signed my Dark Knight, and he put the only way the world makes sense is when you force it to. Or I'm saying it wrong, but he wrote it perfectly. And then Klaus Janson was next to him, and I said, Klaus, would you be willing to do like a little remark or something? And he goes, well, I don't feel like drawing, but I can do an inscription. So he writes, sit up straight, carry. And when I get the book back from CGC, I look down and I see that he misspelled straight. He left the A out of straight. So it's sit up straight and carry. So that's just a perfect example of how things can go well. And then sometimes things don't go so well. But that's basically what I do is I work with people around the world, really, and they send me different items, and I go to these conventions, and a lot of times I drive myself or I drive with my brother or a friend, and we go and we either spend the day there or spend a weekend there, depending on the situation. If I'm working with a vendor, I help out vendors set up and break down, or I help them at their booths. So I found different ways to incorporate my hobby and still also kind of make it into a business as well. But it's still a hobby. It's really still a hobby. It's still fun for me. I have plans for New York Comic Con again this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I know, Ryan, one of these days I'm going to have to get you to come with us, but we'll probably have to end up putting you to work. So yeah, man. Ryan, how about you? Tell us about one of your first celebrity meetings, how that went.
Right. And for those of you who are just joining us, this is Convention Chronicles. We were talking about our highlights, if you will, from our convention experiences that we've had over the years. I'm your host, Ryan, joined by my incredible co-host and one of my best friends, Jeff, here in the virtual studio. If you have any thoughts on some of your favorite convention experiences, what was your first convention experience like? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. So for me, my first convention, this is gonna sound a little crazy, but it's a really good story, though. I promise it's really good. So I was on vacation with my family at the time. We were in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and we were in our hotel room one morning. I was looking at the local newspaper.
So there.
Yeah, I'm still here. I think it's you who's having trouble, but but it's okay. We'll get you back. So for me, I was looking at the local newspaper in our hotel room, and I noticed that there was a Comic-Con going on in the convention center that was near our hotel. I think it was like central, maybe downtown Myrtle Beach, if that's a thing. I don't know if it was downtown Myrtle Beach. I don't know. But anyway, it was in the convention center in Myrtle Beach, and it was called X-Con. No, not like an X-Con, like an ex-convict. No. This was called X-Con. It was a Comic-Con. It's a comic book convention. That's what the name of it was, and that's where it was held. So one of the headlining guests, I think she was the headliner. The celebrity guest that was going to be there was Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in the original Christopher Reeve Superman films of the 70s and the 80s, respectively. So when I heard that she was going to be there, I thought, well, I got to check out this show. I got to be there. I got to check this out. So with that being said, I went and I was running late too, but I got there because I was running late for her panel. I got there, got my ticket, went right in, and I got into her panel about 5-10 minutes late. And I got to tell you, seeing Margot Kidder and meeting her and asking her questions, during the course of her Q&A, definitely was one of the best experiences. That was my first convention experience, and she was great. She was incredible. She was phenomenal. Everything. She answered all my questions. She answered every single one of them. And then when her panel was over, I go over to her booth and I said, "Hey, I just want to say thank you again for answering all my questions." And she said, "Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome." And then I got an 8x10 picture from her time on set of the making of Superman 2 between her and Christopher Reeve. It's when they're in the Fortress of Solitude towards the end of the movie, when Superman, defeats Zod and everybody else for that matter. It says, "To Ryan, love Margot Kidder," and then in quotation marks, "Lois Lane, XOXO." And I thought, that's pretty darn super right there. That's pretty darn cool. We got a picture together. I would show you the picture, but unfortunately it was taken with an iPod Touch. And we all know that iPods that are very old have bad quality when it comes to pictures. So unfortunately, I don't have that picture here to show to you on set, but she was great. And then when I walked around the convention hall, I was looking at the vendors. I was talking to a few of them. I was looking through comic books a little bit. I got a picture with one of the attendees. I was a cosplayer. She was cosplaying as Princess Kitana from the Mortal Kombat video game franchise. She had the whole getup too. Like it was, the blue dress and the outfit, the sleeves and the fan that could kill you in an instant. Don't worry, she didn't kill me because I'm still breathing. So saw that, got a picture with her, got a picture of some of the other vendors while I was there. I think there was even a live band there playing music on set. So that was interesting. So that was my first convention experience. It was XCon in the year 2012. And I believe it was I want to say it was I think it was August, maybe. I think it was August, or was it August? I think it was. It was August. Yeah. It was August, towards the end of summer, beginning of fall of 2012. That was my experience. And from then on, I said, meeting Margot Kidder was one of the best moments of my life, period. And by the way, if you have met Margot Kidder, she's one of the nicest people that ever walked the face of the earth, in my opinion. By the way, rest in peace, Margot Kidder, gone too soon. But from then on, I thought, if this is what Comic-Cons are like, I want to see more of this. I want to see if there are other shows out there. I want to see if there's more people I can meet, more big name stars. Maybe even meet some of my childhood heroes. Who knows, right? Possibilities are endless. So those are my thoughts on the matter. So that was my first convention experience, and it's funny because that same weekend that I went to that convention, this is a little behind the scenes story for you who may be watching or listening to this. My boss fired me over the phone from the job that I had at the time. And that was after I had met Margot Kidder and had this huge high. I was on this huge high. And then I called my boss and let him know about my schedule for the fall, because I was doing other things at the time. I wasn't just working that one job. And I said, "Hey, I got these commitments on certain dates. I can't be there." And then he just, fired me over the phone. That's great, isn't it? Yeah. But you know what? You live and learn, man. You live and learn. That's just the way of the world. And that high from that Comic-Con was incredible. It was awesome. It was beautiful. And Margot Kidder, bless the woman's heart. She was great. Answered every single. I must have asked her 5 or 6 questions. She didn't care. Because some celebrities get a little tired of it after a while. They get a little tired of. If you ask a celebrity more than 1 or 2 questions, they kind of get tired of it. But with her, she didn't care, because she knew that the people who attend these shows spend a good amount of money to meet them, whoever it may be. I'm just speaking in general formalities here. But she takes her time with the fans, and not everyone can say that. Not everyone does that, and I applaud her for doing it. So 2 thumbs up. Way to go. So that was my first convention experience. I don't know, Jeff, do you want to talk about door number 2? You want to go to the second convention, the second convention we ever went to, or do you want to just put a nail in the coffin and talk about something else like the weather? No,
wow. I mean, it's funny because my thing is, you brought up the money thing and how expensive it can be and everything. It's so true that we meet a lot of different people at different walks of life, finding different ways to be a part of this community, whether they're vendors, whether they're attendees, whether they're doing what I do as far as what's it called, consignments. We all, I've learned about private signings. I've learned the business of private signings. I've learned about bulk signings and backroom signings, and it's funny how quick this whole thing has evolved in less than 10 years. Like, I remember listening to guys, different people standing in line with me saying, I remember a time when all I had to do was pay $10. I walk in and I get an autograph from every single celebrity guest, and it was included in the general admission fee. And I was like, man, that would have been awesome. And they would show me different advertisements, like sports shows are something I've never done, but people I've known about them, and people would show me these advertisements for come meet Muhammad Ali for $10. And I said to myself, can we rewind the clock just a little bit so that we can go back to a world where it wasn't over $200 to meet one of these guests? and a premier spectacular guest like Muhammad Ali, oh my God, that would be a dream come true for me. God rest his soul as well. But I think when it comes to this community, I think it's just evolved so much. I remember going to Awesome Con for the first time and thinking to myself, my God, I get to meet Stan Lee. And I get to take a photo with him. And then, and I still have that group picture with me, my younger brother, two of my friends I met through Comic Cons and autograph Facebook groups and stuff. And we just pulled our money together and we got a picture with Stan Lee. And I can remember exactly how it went. We were running late to our group. They ushered us in as fast as they could we put our stuff down. And I had as much time to say, hey, Stan, how's it going? And for him to say, well, I'm here. And we turned around and there was the picture. That was it. And I was just shocked because I was like, my God, like, can you imagine walking into a Comic-Con and there's Stan Lee sitting with maybe 5 people in his line and just talking about all of the books he wrote for those people who were growing up at the time and listening to him tell all the stories about those different characters and everything. Now, like, we were lucky that I was lucky to remember to put my hands out like Spider-Man in that picture. That was it. That's how much time we had with Stan. And God bless him. That was a year before he passed. So it was something special. It was something special. And I think that's part of the whole community is that we have these stories and we have these connections and we get to meet different people. I actually just got to where I needed to be. So I just pulled in. So I'm just walking in. But I think this is the start of something really, really fun. And Ryan pitched me the idea about a week ago, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I'm an extrovert, so I was like, yeah. He's like, how do you feel about being on camera? I wish I could lose some weight, but I think I'll be okay. Maybe getting a haircut and clean up a bit, but that's a whole other story for another time. But yeah, I made it back okay. I did. So what do you think, Ryan? Did we have any questions from our attendees? What do we got?
That's a great point. So once again, we are talking about our convention experience. And if you have any questions for Jeff or myself, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Thank you to those of you who are watching this live, or if you're watching it on the replay, thank you. Appreciate it, each and every single one of you. So we don't have any questions currently in the chat, but if you want to talk about your secondary convention experience and I can talk about mine, we can. Or if you want to say, hey, you know what, guys, we love you, but I'm going to save that. So it's up to you. Do you want to move on to page? In other words, do you want to move on to chapter 2, or do you want to put the bookmark?
Sure. We can move into whatever you want to do, Ryan. I mean, honestly, because I do so many shows per year, and that's not me bragging.
No,
that's me saying, so because I work with different vendors and I work at their booths, I have gone as far west as Chicago for conventions, and it is somewhat of my hometown. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. I've gone as far south as Dragon Con in Atlanta, excuse me. I've gone as far east as Atlantic City and New York City for New York Comic Con, and as even onto Long Island for now I'm drawing a blank on that one. It's a little bit smaller, but it's I want to say it's in Nassau. And then I've gone all as far north as Rhode Island Comic Con and Terrificon, and I think all of the conventions have their own unique style. I've found that well, Ryan can back me up on this, that I think Baltimore is probably the truest comic convention, where it's very focused on the industry, and Terrificon is similar to that, where it's more focused on the comic industry versus the entertainment side of things. Whereas obviously New York Comic Con is your big bad, full blown everything experience, from like premiering new TV shows and panels and cast panels and stuff like that, to premiering movies, to current popular shows and movies, and the panels are phenomenal, where the booths have those experience booths that are really fun. And then of course you've got Artist Alley with over 100 different comic creators down there, and then that's also a lot of fun, especially if you want to learn the side of how to invest in your comics, and pulling different books for different events, and figuring out who's going to be there and who you want to get signed, and then have it either witnessed by CGC, or if you have books that were signed years before, now you can get them authenticated by CBCS, and they give you the gold label like CGC. So yeah, I mean, there's so many different aspects that I've learned about the comic convention community and industry and everything else, that it really, like, it's kind of blended together. So if you brought up a guest name, I could tell you all sorts of different stories about all the guests that I've met over the years, and which ones were great and which ones were a little lackluster. But I don't want to be mean and say, oh, that person's just, you know, there are a couple of those, but you know, you start to wonder why some of these guests keep showing up, whereas there's some phenomenal guests that I've really enjoyed meeting as well, and had some great interactions. But yeah, I think this is the start of something really fun, and you ask me any questions, I'm an open book. And the reason why I have a pretty good memory is I majored in history in college, so I at one time was a history teacher, so I have that detailed mind. And yeah, that's kind of how I am. I love telling stories. So
wow, you know
yeah.
your history. It's very good. Anyhow,
yeah.
So let's go into that here. Chapter 2, aka the second convention we ever went, we may have gone to, if
Sure.
that's the most appropriate thing to say. So what was the second convention that you went to, and what was your experience like at that event specifically?
Boy, second one. I want to say, so Chiller was kind of late in the year. So I remember going to Baltimore and then getting brought into New York Comic Con. So I kind of jumped in pretty fast into the deep end. So basically, I have a friend named Joe, and he's a vendor. He sells minis, the little figurine mini, yeah, like Lego mini. They're not Lego, but they're, as Joe explains them, they're not the collectibles. They're the ones you play with. So Joe found me through the Facebook groups, and he lives not too far from a town called Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. It's about an hour from Harrisburg. And I asked Joe to do me a favor. I really wanted a cast signed Arrow item, and I thought my brother and I went to Harrisburg Comic Con, and we got it started with. I'm trying to think of her name right now. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh, Katrina Law. My younger brother and I got the VIP to meet Katrina Law at Harrisburg Comic Con. It was a short-lived Comic Con, and it was at the farm show, so it was very unique. And we got to meet her. We had a great time, and that would be one of the earlier conventions we went to. So I'll go with this. So we met Katrina Law and Michelle Monaghan, who played Flash's mom on the CW show. And I remember her saying to us, "Why aren't you guys in costume? You two are brothers. You should cosplay together." And she said, "The next year when I'm back here, you two need to be in costume." And I said, "Okay." So it's the first and only time we did a cosplay. And it was just for Flash's mom, and there's a good picture of us together as Mario and Luigi. So we had a good time with that. But we had these custom-made street signs that said Starling City. And so my brother and I gave Joe the street signs, and he added 16 more signatures for us at Heroes and Villains. And we got along so well that Joe invited us to Baltimore. And that was when I first got to meet Frank Miller. And that was a good time. And then we went to New York Comic Con. New York Comic Con is something else, man. It's amazing. We met Mark Ruffalo there for the first time, and we had such a good time. And we've been going ever since. Sorry. There's some mosquitoes around here, and I feel like my legs are getting bitten up, so I'm going to go inside.
All good, man.
But
No
yeah,
problem.
fill us in on some of your earliest experiences, Ryan.
Yeah. It's not a problem at all. Take your time, brother. No problem here. So for me, after getting a little taste of what a Comic-Con is, what the experience was like for me, this was, XCOM was great. I saw that, and once again, we've lost so many legends over the years, and this goes back to a gentleman that did a lot of vlogging on his YouTube channel, respectively. Jason David Frank, who played Tommy Oliver on the Power Rangers series back in the 90s. And by the way, I'm a 90s kid, so I was a Power Rangers fan back then. I still am to this day, 30 years later. I don't care what anyone says. I still got that inner 6-year-old inside of me, okay? We're all kids at heart. So he was advertising that he was going to be appearing at Lexington Comic and Toy Convention, which is held in Lexington, Kentucky. Bluegrass State, home of the Kentucky Wildcats. Yeah. So
I've been there yet.
So when oh, dude, it's a great freaking show. So anyway, he said that he was going to be there, and a number of his fellow Power Ranger actors or actresses were going to be present at the event. And I thought, whoa, Power Rangers do conventions? Oh my goodness. Like, I need to get in on this, son. I need this now, because I've waited over 20 plus years to meet these legends, because I grew up watching these actors on television day in, day out, on the weekends, twice on Sunday. And if you're a 90s kid, you remember how popular Power Rangers was, and still is to this day. I mean, let's be honest. The series never really went away. So I found out, I told my parents about it. I'm like, Mom, stepdad, I gotta go to this con. I gotta go to this con. Like, this means everything. Like, this is it. This is our moment. This is my moment here. So I told them about it. They said, "You know what? We've never been to Kentucky. We haven't traveled out that way. Let's all go together." And I said, "All right, cool." So I got my ticket. We all three of us traveled together over to Lexington, Kentucky. Great place, by the way, for those of you who live in Lexington, Kentucky. Great city, great place, great state. So we got there. We got settled in our hotel rooms. I got my stuff together. They drove me over to it's funny because we were staying in the hotel, or at least, was it me? Yeah, it was me. They got me a room, I think it was, that was connected to the convention center. So the convention center is here. The hotel, which was a Hyatt, hashtag not a sponsor, the Hyatt is right there. And next to that is the Rupp Arena. So you have all this going on, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm in the hotel where the convention is, and also some of the actors are staying at this hotel. So, you know what I mean? It was like prime VIP access without having a VIP pass. It was like going over it's like being on the red carpet going through the velvet ropes. So I got there. I met all the people I wanted to meet. I got the autographs I wanted to get. Heck, I even managed to meet Shooter McGavin. Christopher McDonald was in the building.
Nice.
So I met Shooter McGavin, who signed an 8x10 of himself as Shooter McGavin, of course, because, you know, all celebrities have a lot of 8x10s of some of the roles that they portrayed over the decades at their booths, respectively. So I said, you wouldn't mind signing this one? Which is like, no, of course not. And he signed it. We got a picture. It was great. It was wonderful. And I got to be honest, Lexington was a turning point. It was a huge turning point because the fact that all these actors were there and I'm here with all these other fans that are feeling the lightning, that are feeling the thunder, the energy, the vibe, all of it was there in that building. And these are some of the shots that I managed to take at the event. So what you're seeing, these are the pictures I took when I was in Lexington. So this is the banner. This is what the entryway was presented as. They got Megazords and Power Rangers on the freaking banner. So talk about a show that knows how to cater to the audience. I mean, the guys, the men and women, the family who runs this show did an incredible job. So this is the banner, right? So this is what you do when you see it when you walk in. It's some of the displays walking around. That's a Jurassic Park Jeep that the people are standing in front of that are kind of blocking that shot, but that's okay. I got more where that came from. And I met Karen Ashley. This is Karen Ashley. She portrayed Aisha on the second half of the Power Rangers series after some of the actors left due to pay disputes and differences. Karen Ashley gave me as she calls it, a bear hug, because one of the Zords that she controlled on the show was the bear Zord. And she says in the movie, time to boogie with the bear. So she gave me a hug. She held up her helmet so she knew which, so I could have it in the picture, knew which Ranger she was. And she was great. And she's one of the kindest people you're ever going to meet at a convention. This is Karen Ashley. She's great. She's wonderful. All the nice things. So she was one of the first people I met at this show. This picture's a bit blurry, but it is Walter Jones. That is Walter Jones, who portrayed Zach Taylor, the Black Ranger, on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He was great to meet. He's a cool guy. Let me hold his helmet. When you're holding the helmet of a Power Ranger, all the memories are flooding back to you, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm a Power Ranger too. It's great, isn't it? It's a beautiful thing. And then I got a picture with a blue Turbo Ranger cosplayer. Once again, the picture's it's out of focus. It's blurry. It's not the best. Once again, pictures and cameras were very different back then, guys. This is from 2013. Okay, this is 2013. This is Serena Vincent, the very beautiful, ageless Serena Vincent, who has been in numerous TV shows and movies over the years, including Power Rangers Lost Galaxy as Maya, the Yellow Ranger on Lost Galaxy. She was in the horror film Cabin Fever. Have you seen that one, Jeff? Have you seen Cabin Fever? I don't know if you have or not.
Hemsworth there. That's early Chris Hemsworth. I said that's early Chris Hemsworth.
What, in Cabin Fever?
Wait. No. I'm thinking of Cabin in the Woods. I'm sorry.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yes. Oh, man. Cabin Fever. No, I have to go back and watch that one. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I do want to take a moment and say, if you have any questions for Jeff or myself or any convention experiences you want to share with us, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Be more than happy to take that from you. TM Smith is in the building here, Jeff. He says, peace. He says the Rangers left due to the peace conference, Ryan. Peace conference, laugh out loud. I know what that means, Tim. I know what it means. And then he also goes on to say, also, Serena Vincent was featured in the movie Not Another Teen Movie.
Yes, I remember her from that. That's a young Chris Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. Captain America, yes.
Okay.
And,
I remember that. Yep.
Serena Vincent played the foreign exchange student that wasn't wearing too many clothes. So
yes.
Yeah, I don't want to get too descriptive here, but if you see the movie, you get the picture.
Nope. That was it. That's all we need.
That's it. So Serena Vincent was great. She was wonderful. I think she was the first celebrity that I met when I was at the convention, and she signed an 8x10 of her time on the show of Power Rangers.
Nice.
This is Blake Foster. He played Justin Stewart, the Blue Turbo Ranger, the youngest Power Ranger ever recruited in the history of the North American version of Power Rangers program, anyway. He was cool. I liked his character on the show. I don't care what anyone says. I was digging it because he was a kid. He was living out our dream of being a Power Ranger. He was 12 years old when he was on that show. So now he's all grown up. And look at, he's wearing his blue communicator too, which is even cooler. And then this is Catherine Sutherland. She portrayed Kat on Power Rangers. She was the secondary Pink Ranger. She was the Pink Zeo and the Pink Turbo Ranger, as she is so beautifully holding the Turbo Pink Ranger helmet in our picture together, as you can see here on the screen, just to give you an idea of what was going on here at Lexington Comic-Con. This is from Lexington Comic and Toy Convention of 2013 that I attended, and boy, let me tell you, this was 20 years in the making, and boy, was it worth the wait, Jeff. I got to be honest. And then you got David Yost, played the OG Blue Ranger.
Okay.
I think he's the one that he appeared in the most episodes of the original series. He's the cast member who has had the most appearances, most episodes in the history of that show for his character. So way to go, David Yost. And by the way, we're both wearing blue. Yeah, we're both wearing blue, and he was the Blue Ranger. How about them apples, son? Yeah, I probably planned that out too. Well, Blue Ranger power, I'm just saying. Cosplayer dressed up as Captain America. Look at that shield, man. Shield looks great.
Wow.
So he looks cool. I met a lot of cosplayers while I was there. This guy was cool. If you know who this is, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Be sure to tag him on social media to let him know that he's made an appearance on Convention Chronicles Episode 1. More cosplayers. Look how cute these people are, man. You got the Green Ranger. You got young lady dressed as the Pink Ranger. I mean, how cool is that? That is relationship goals, man. Seriously. That's relationship goals to the max. If you can stand to put on a spandex suit and wear a helmet that doesn't fog up and doesn't make you sweat bullets, I applaud you. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's dedication.
Now, this young lady here, and this, again, a lot of the people I've met at conventions, you can say this about your experiences too, Jeff. Some people just don't age. This is Erin Cahill. Jen, the Pink Ranger on the greatest season of all time, pun intended, of Power Rangers Time Force, that aired in 2001.
Okay.
That was her first acting gig.
Nice.
She was fresh out of college. It was her first gig, and boy, did she nail it. She was the leader of the Power Rangers, so she did a magnificent job. And Erin Cahill, you're great. I love you. You're fantastic. Look forward to seeing you at a convention again someday because you're great. She has portrayed characters in the Resident Evil video game franchise. She's done the motion capture and the voiceover for characters in Resident Evil. She was in the, direct-to-video sequel of Boogeyman 3. She was the lead actress in Boogeyman 3, if you're a horror fan. She's been in some other thrillers. She's made numerous TV appearances on hit shows. She was featured in an episode of Law & Order Los Angeles. I remember her appearing on that. And she's been on other stuff, too. I mean, her IMDb, you look at her filmography, it's like 2 miles long. Jason Font, who also was in the Resident Evil video game franchise. He's been in some commercials. He's been in some other movies, too. He played the Red Ranger in Power Rangers Time Force, the character of Wes and Alex. Played 2 different characters. It's amazing. He was great. Look how cool he is, man. Nice. He's just a cool dude. And then, by the way, rest in peace to this gentleman right here. This is Robert Axelrod, who was the voice of Lord Zed on Power Rangers. I had the pleasure of meeting him some years before he passed away. Rest in peace, Robert Axelrod. He has voiced hundreds of characters in his career. Nice. Hundreds. Nice. But Lord Zed is the one I remember the most. Okay? Hence the reason he's holding his action figure in the photo. So and by the way, Robert Axelrod was actually staying on the same floor that I was in the hotel.
Nice.
So I bumped into him in the hallway when he was on his way outside of the elevator. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then you get Catherine Sutherland with a Rita Repulsa cosplayer. That was cool. Like the cosplayers, man, they're dedicated to their craft. I'm telling you. They're amazing. Power Rangers SPD Pink Ranger cosplayer. Got a little picture there with her. I don't remember what her name was, the actual person who was dressed up as that Ranger, but let us know in the comments if you do know. Jason Narvi, who played Skulovich on Power Rangers. You know, he said to me, "You're like the second or third person I've met from Maryland today, man." I was like, "Really?" He says, "Yeah." I was like, "That's cool, man. That's cool." And then he's like, "Here, have a seat. Let's get a picture." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, man." And then, obviously I pay for the selfie ahead of time, but we sat down on the couch of doom, as he calls it, the couch of doom, because what he and Paul Schreier do is they have this couch at their booth so they can take all their photos in. And then towards the end of the conventions on Sundays, they just rip it apart. They just tear it apart. Like they just, you know what I mean? Like they just destroy stuff. They just have fun. It's a bit of a joke,
Huh.
but it's fun though.
Okay.
It's fun. And then look at this: Eddie Valiant and Jessica Rabbit costumes. How about that?
Well done.
How
Well done.
about that?
Yeah.
I don't think the gentleman has a cosplay page, but the young lady who's dressed as Jessica Rabbit here does have a cosplay page. And I remember following her on, what was it, Facebook? And I think she's on Instagram too. If anyone knows who this is, by all means, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Be curious to hear your thoughts on that. Also, more people are in the building. Oh my gosh. Jago JI75 says hello. He says that I did a Jason Voorhees cosplay. He is dressed up as Raiden. Ultraman Taro. Is it Toro? I think it's Taro or Toro. Michael Myers. No, not the actor. Michael Myers, the killer from Halloween, if you remember who that is.
Nice.
And Ultra 7. That's it. That's cool, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. And TM Smith Reactions goes on to say that couch gets destroyed every single time. It does. They have a new couch on every Comic-Con, on every floor, and every time they do it, they destroy it. And then Majago JI75 says, do you all like kaiju merch? Kaiju merchandise? I mean, I like Godzilla, and I like Godzilla movies. I like kaiju movies to a degree. What about you, Jeff? Do you like kaiju?
Yeah, I mean, I know the Godzilla was a little bit before. Yeah, I mean, I've watched the monster movies. Maybe not so much the earlier ones that came out before I was born, but I think the later ones that they did and the crossover with King Kong were pretty fantastic. You know, let's be honest, special effects are phenomenal when it comes to those movies. So yeah, I think it's cool.
I'll give you that. Thank you for sharing that with us, everyone in the chat. Appreciate that. Let's see.
Yeah.
And here's the late great Jason David Frank. I waited and waited and waited and waited in line to meet this guy because his line at every Comic-Con that this guy goes to is 100 miles long, Jeff.
Yeah.
100 miles long. And I'll tell you why. Jason David Frank, very active on social media, very active with his fans, loves meeting his fans. He takes the time to talk to each and every single one of them. Hence the reason it takes a while to get to the front of the line here, buddy boy.
Yep. Yeah.
But when it happens, he makes it count. He makes it count. So as you can see, Jason David Frank and I are getting ready to morph into action, if you know what I'm saying. And then we do it.
There you go.
He calls out his Dragon Zord. I call out, whatever I called out. I think I said Triceratops or Tyrannosaurus. I can't remember. It was one. Hey, it was one or the other. I can't remember. But took a morphing picture. And by the way, Jason David Frank was so nice that he gave me a poster that I didn't pay for. He's like, you know what, man? You came all the way from Maryland. You came all this way. I'm going to give you this, man. So he takes an 11x17 poster of when he broke the world record for breaking boards during a skydive. Guinness Book of World Records. It's true. It happened. He signed the 11x17. I bought one of his T-shirts. He signed that for free. Gave me free stickers that were signed by him. And I gave one of those to a friend of mine who's a big Power Rangers fan. So always look out for your friends, guys. Always look out for your friends. And then at the end of the weekend, I was on my way out the door and I was saying goodbye to some of the actors that I had met earlier in the weekend. And I said, hey, Jason, Aaron, I'm heading out of here. And just want to say it was great meeting you guys. I wish you the best. I was hoping to get a picture with the two of you, but my bank account is it's depleted. I have no more money. I'm done. I'm tapped out. Like I have. And he's like, whoa. Hold on a second. No. Jump in here, man. Let's get a picture of us. All three of us. I'm like, whoa. Are you sure? He's like, yeah, no problem. Get on in here. Come on in here. So Jason and Aaron waved me over and they said, let's get a photo together. So they gave my camera to the handler at one of their booths. They took the shot and boy, was I surprised by that. But at the same time, I was happy, as you can clearly see in the photo here.
Yeah.
Two of the nicest, coolest folk you're ever going to see at a convention are Jason Font and Aaron Cahill, because their time on Power Rangers is legendary, hence the reason it's the best season of all time. Hashtag that's a fact, not an opinion. I'm just kidding. It's an opinion. But they are two nice people, and they took that photo with me absolutely free, Jeff. I didn't even have to pay a dime for that.
Yeah.
That's how nice people can be to you when you're at a convention.
That's great.
It's the beauty of conventions, my friend.
Yep.
It's the beauty of it. And this is one of my most prized photos, most prized possessions, if you will. I don't know. It's a photo, really.
Nice.
Jurassic Park Jeep was on display at the event. There you go. Cue
Okay.
the John Williams, you know, spend no expense.
Okay.
You got more of the banners that were hung up in the convention hall. Look at all these different characters, man. They got all the Power Rangers. They got Lurch from Addams Family. I mean, look how cool this is, man.
Nice. Yeah.
Look how cool that is. And then you got a bunch of Power Ranger cosplayers. What's not to like about that? You got people from Megaforce, people from Samurai, people from SPD. You got Mighty Morphin. You got, I think that's it. Is those three seasons? Yeah. So, I tell you, it's a thing of beauty. So, needless to say, Lexington Comic-Con was, I believe it was my second convention experience, and by far, at that time, it was the best. It was the best there ever was. It was the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be at that time. However, boy, Jeff, you and I, we got more chronicles, more stories to share, but I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for joining us on our pilot/debut episode of Convention Chronicles, where we talk about some of our early convention experiences of going to Comic-Con, some of the people we've had a chance to meet, some of the relationships that we have formed, and all that good stuff. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you who may be watching or listening to this. If you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you to each every single one of you. And let's see here. Majago JI75 says there's a new Godzilla 74 figure from X Plus that's coming out as a 32 centimeter tall Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster version. Okay.
Very cool.
I'm not overly familiar with some of these toy companies that make some of these statues and different toys or action figures. I know people like to be, hey, it's not toy, but it's all good. Hey, we appreciate you sharing that with us. We appreciate you for tuning in. Jeff, we've only just begun, my friend. This is going to be, in the words of our the great legendary film and cinema known as Casablanca, this is the beginning of a very beautiful friendship. So, Jeff,
absolutely.
Where can the person who is watching or listening to this follow you on social media and some of the things that you have coming up, or some of the shows that you're going to be appearing at, making dreams come true?
All right. So basically, I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook. My name is Jeff Lucarelli. Yes, it's quite Italian, and it spells how it sounds: Lucarelli. The handle Icon722 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are my personal pages. What I was going to ask Ryan, if this is allowed, can I mention my Facebook business page where everybody can see the stuff I've gotten done for myself and my personal collection, and for others who've sent in to me to get consignments done that I've sent back?
Absolutely. Go right ahead. And spoiler alert, that link is located within the description of this very video.
That's right. So you can find that page at, it's a long name, so pay attention, Iconic Autographs and Inscriptions. So I came up with that, and it does feature most of my personal collection of cast iron movie posters, some that I'm still working on, some of them that I've finished, some selfies with different celebrities over the last 7 or 8 years, and a lot of my canvases, collectibles, Funko Pops. All of them are autographed, and most of them are inscribed with at least a character name, if not a character name quote. Some of them even get a little fancy and draw little pictures, so we get some remarks from actors and comic book artists. I have some of my signed comic books on there. So yeah, if anybody ever has any questions or has an interest in what I do at conventions, I'm always happy to share. I'm always happy to share my resources and help people connect with everybody that I know, because I know people in the authentication side of the business. I know vendors. I know I've gotten to know some celebrities, and I've gotten to know just fans in general, and cosplayers and artists, and independent artists, as well as comic book artists and comic book writers. So, if you're ever in need of assistance, or you want to learn how to invest in comics, which, let's be honest, the economy is definitely changing, and sometimes these material things that we've collected over the years gain value, and I can teach you how to take that value and triple and quadruple it just by having it science labbed and put it in a safe place, really. So if you happen to have a comic collection that's been handed down to you and you need help figuring it all out, by all means reach out. And I've done that as well. And I'm also, this is something I've been kicking around and I'm thinking about doing, is trying to get into private signings with some celebrities as well. So stay tuned on my page for that. And I think, what we've started here, Ryan, is going to be a lot of fun. And, if anybody sees anything on my page and they want to ask about it, that's a great way to get me talking, because I have a story about every single piece that I have on that page. So, I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation and seeing how this evolves, and really being able to make new friends and and continue to network in this crazy comic world that we've gotten ourselves into.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And we thank you for being with us. My name is Ryan of Neuroculture. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Make sure you're following us across all forms of social media. Those links are located within the description of this video, as well as Jeff's business page about iconic signatures and inscriptions. Boy, that's a lot of words. But
Yeah.
it's all there. It's in the description, so you can follow him on social media, keep up to date with everything that he's doing, and he's got a potential new business venture that's coming up. And boy, am I excited! And yes, this is just the beginning. We have reached the tip of the iceberg, because I've been to conventions for over 10 years. Jeff's had a similar number around there, 10, 11, 12 years. We got so many stories, so many interactions we have had over the years, and we are very much looking forward to sharing more of those stories with you. But if there's something you want to see on the show, if there's a particular story or particular thing that you're interested in hearing more about, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Whether you are watching or listening to this live or on the replay, by all means, we enjoy the interactions. We want to hear from you, kind of like Uncle Sam. I want you. So check all that stuff out. Indie supports indie. We're all one big giant geek/nerd family. Let's do this together. Enjoy the ride, because we are just getting started. Jeff, thank you for being here. I will talk to you in just a moment. Remember, support small businesses, support independent creators, support independent artists, all the people who work tireless hours to bring us the incredible things that we have seen at conventions over the years and will continue to see as we go throughout the course of our lives. Thank you. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Ring that bell so you get notified of when our new videos go live. Don't forget about And I Quote. New episodes are coming up very soon. And remember, life is better when going to Comic-Cons with friends and family and supporting small businesses. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
All right, I'm a little tired, I'm a little wired, and I think I deserve a little appreciation.